How the narcissist stole your identity without you realizing it. Have you ever wondered why, in the end, it seemed like you were dealing with a terrified child and not the powerful adult you met at the beginning? There's a specific moment in the dynamic with a narcissist that nobody tells you about. It's the moment when the mask falls off. And I'm not talking about that usual anger, the yelling, or the silent treatment you've learned to endure. I'm talking about the collapse. Let's analyze this together, just the two of us here, because I know you saw it, and when you tried to explain it to others, nobody understood. The first unspoken truth, the one that makes your stomach churn just thinking about it, is the absolute fragility that lies behind that arrogance. You've spent years, maybe decades, walking on eggshells. You shaped your personality, dimmed your light, and silenced your voice just to maintain peace, to prevent it from exploding. But the painful truth, which at the same time sets you free, is that you were never the problem. The problem is that the narcissist lives in a constant state of internal terror. They do not possess a true self. They're like a leaky bucket, and you were the water. You poured yourself completely into it, trying to fill it, trying to fix it, but it was never enough. And here's the emotional trigger that makes you feel seen now. Remember that time when you finally said no? Or that time when you simply didn't react to the provocations? Do you remember his gaze? It wasn't just anger, it was panic. It was the shark's eye, that empty, dark, soulless gaze. At that moment, you witnessed the narcissist collapse. Dark psychology teaches us that when the supply, which was their worship or their pain, is cut off, they are unable to process reality. The shame they carry deep inside, the shame they projected onto you every day, saying that you were the crazy one, that you were too sensitive. That shame comes back to them like a boomerang, and that's when the unthinkable happens. They short-circuit. They may have cried uncontrollably, threatened to hurt themselves, or attacked you with a rage that seemed demonic. And you stood there, paralyzed, wondering where the person who said they loved you was. But I need you to understand this now calmly. That monster that appeared at the end? That was his true face. The Prince Charming from the beginning was just a mirror, reflecting your qualities to capture you. His breakdown wasn't your fault. The collapse was the inevitable implosion of a lie that could no longer withstand the truth. You survived the chaos. You saw what few have the courage to see. And if you're feeling that tightness in your chest right now, it's because your soul knows I'm telling the truth. You haven't lost your sanity. You just woke up from a nightmare while it was still trying to make you fall asleep. Take a deep breath now. His collapse was the beginning of his freedom. The confidant, I know that look. It's not just in your eyes. It's deep down, in your bones. That weight, that exhaustion that sleep simply can't cure. You're there now, maybe holding your phone or maybe staring at a wall. And your heart is racing. Not because you're excited, but because you've been trained to be afraid. I know exactly where you are right now. You're in that silent room, replaying the conversations in your head, over and over again. You're wondering what you did wrong, wondering why it wasn't enough. You're wondering if maybe, just maybe, they were right about you. But listen to me carefully. I need you to hear this. I know the truth that you're afraid to say out loud. I know what it was like living in that house. I know what it felt like to become a detective within your own relationship. Do you remember? Do you remember how you learned to read the air the moment they walked through the door? You became an expert at listening for footsteps. Were they heavy? Were they fast? You would stop breathing just to listen. You thought that if you could be quiet enough, if you could be perfect enough, maybe, just maybe, you would survive the night without a fight. You were walking on eggshells. But it was worse than that. You were walking on eggshells while they actively threw stones at your feet. And then, when you finally screamed in pain, they looked at you with that cold, empty stare and asked why you were making such a fuss. They said you were crazy. They said you were too sensitive. They said you were imagining things. I never said that, they whispered. You always twist my words. And the worst part? The part that keeps you awake at night? The worst part is that you started to believe them. You started checking your own memory. You started questioning your own sanity. You felt like you were drowning in mid-air, screaming for help, but no sound came out. I know the loneliness of this moment. I know what it's like to lie in bed next to someone who should love you and yet feel like you're millions of miles away on a frozen planet. You sought warmth and they gave you ice. You sought security and they gave you silence. That's silence. It was a weapon, wasn't it? The silent treatment. The days they looked right through you, like you were a ghost, like you didn't exist. It made you beg, made you plead for God's sake, made you apologize for things you didn't even do, just to make the silence stop, just to feel like a person again. I know you got lost. I know you looked in the mirror one day and didn't recognize the person who was there. The sparkle faded. The laughter disappeared. You became a shell, emptied by constant criticism and their subtle cruelty. But I'm here to tell you something they never wanted you to know. You were never crazy. You were never broken. You were just reacting to poison. You were a normal person, trying to have a normal reaction to an abnormal amount of pain. They told you that you were the problem. But I know deep down that you were just trying to love someone who didn't know how to be loved. You were trying to fill a bucket that had a hole in the bottom. I know you feel silly right now. I know you feel ashamed. You wonder how you let this go on for so long, how you didn't see the signs. But be kind to yourself. Please be kind. You didn't see the signs because you were looking at them through the lenses of empathy, hope, and love. And those are beautiful things. Those are your superpowers. They just use them as a weapon against you. You don't need to explain yourself here. You don't need to defend yourself anymore. The war is over. You can lower your shield. I know the silence in your house feels heavy right now. I know the withdrawal hurts. I know you miss the good times, even if they were a lie. But this silence you feel now, it's not empty. This silence is peace waiting to happen. It's the sound of you finally coming home, coming back to yourself. Take a deep breath. Feel the air fill your lungs. You are safe now. They can no longer control your thoughts. They can no longer control your reality. You survived the storm. You are still here. And I believe in you. I see you. And I know that you will be okay.